Welcome to the We Guard Cleveland podcast with me, your host, Casey Howard. Today we are doing our video on the catcher situation part 2. I had a single video for this earlier, but turns out that this is more advanced than we thought. So I'm going to start off with telling you why it is a big deal. As of right now, it is most likely that Mike Zunino will be healthy to start the year, which we thought he would be too then. But it is still possible that he may not be ready for the beginning of the season. He had shoulder surgery last July and hasn't played since, so we thought Josh Naylor would be ready for the beginning of last season, and he had to start on the 10-day IL. It's happened to Michael Brantley when he was on the team in 2018. So these things happen, and the Guardians have to be prepared for them. So going into spring training, the Guardians have 7 different catchers. And truthfully, all of them are competing, and I would say are pretty even, besides Zunino's automatic number 1 if he's healthy. But they're all pretty even going into the number 2 catcher battle. They are Bo Naylor, who has been in the Guardians program since 2018 when we drafted him in the first round. Maibreeze Valora, who we signed from the San Francisco Giants, which he played for last year. Brian Lavastida has been in our program for a couple years. Played a little bit at the beginning of last year. Cam Gallagher, he used to be on the Kansas City Royals. He used to be Salvador Perez's backup. We've played against him a couple of times. So, we're familiar with him. Zach Collins, he played a little bit for the Pittsburgh Pirates last year. When they had a bunch of catchers get hurt, including former Guardians catcher Roberto Perez, who I actually have a ball here that Roberto Perez signed. I can't really see too well, but he signed that ball. And then David Fry, who has also been in our program for a couple years. He can play catcher, first base, third base, and DH, and has been in our AAA Columbus Clippers for the past couple seasons. So now, we really don't have much information. The plan is for Zunino to start the year as our number 1 catcher. At one point I told you Maibreeze Valora is the favorite for the number 2 spot. There really isn't a favorite. They said they want to start Bo Naylor in AAA unless Zunino is not ready. But now we've brought in some new faces. They still have Valora there, but listed on their roster prediction. But really, any of them could be their number 2 catcher. So now just a little bit about the player's strengths. So I rank them into if they're more of a defensive catcher, kind of like Roberto Perez, Austin Hedges, which the Guardians have gone after defensive catchers in the past. And then there's more of hitting catchers like Mike Zunino, who they signed, who hit 33 home runs in 2021. But his glove wasn't as good. He was still a good fielder. He just was a better hitter. So catchers that strength are hitting are Mike Zunino, Bo Naylor. He hasn't shown much hitting in the minor leagues or has not shown an excellent glove, but he has been a pretty good base runner. Got some good stolen bases because he's very young. He's only 21 years old, or 22, I think. But overall, he can be a power hitter. Sometimes we've seen flashes. He just has to get more hits, get that batting average a little higher. Next is Zach Collins. He is actually more of a defensive catcher. We saw him with the Pirates at the end of last year. David Fry, he's an offense. He's all offense. He plays a bunch of places in the field. The Guardian system hasn't really figured out his position yet. But he can catch. But he's more of a hitter. Cam Gallagher, he's more of a fielder on defense. And then Brian Lavastida and Mybreeze Valora are both more defensive catchers. So now I just decided to rank all the 7 catchers in my opinion, which I've done some research on, and to see what I think. This is just my personal opinion of ranking the 7 catchers. So number 1, everyone has Mike Zunino. I've kind of already explained why. He was an all-star in 2021. He is the only catcher on this list who has played multiple full MLB seasons and is experienced. Next on my list, I have Cam Gallagher. I've seen him play against the Guardians as a Kansas City Royal, and he has looked good to me. I've seen some flashes from him, just in film. His statistics were kind of like the rest of these guys, but I've seen some nice film of him just live, watching games. So that's why I have him there. 3, I have Zach Collins. My second favorite team is probably the Pirates, and he was a former Pirate. And he stepped up a little bit at the end of the season, I guess you could say. So that's why I have him there. 4th, I have Bo Naylor, and Mybreeze Valora tied for 4th and 5th. Bo's got to get better on his fielding and more contact hitting. And Valora has to be better at hitting, which I mean hitting above 155. And then Lavastida is 6th. He has a little bit of MLB experience, but he gets injured a lot, which I focused on in my last video, so I don't think he'll be able to stay healthy enough. And then there's David Fry, who we don't really know much about. Utility player who can catch. You don't usually see a utility catcher who can play catcher, first base, third base. Those are more uncommon. So this could actually be a big issue for the Guardians at the beginning of this season. So that's why I am doing this part 2 video. I might do more. I'm creating a playlist, so there will probably be more depending on what goes on in spring training. I have a video I'm working on. It's about Oscar Gonzalez, why I think he will have a case of the second-year slumps, which will probably be my next upload. I don't think I'll do one for probably 3 or 4 more days, but my goal is to do one before next Friday. So, for now, Casey is out.